Hi, my beloved SoKaNites. This is SoKaSoKaren bringing you another day, day 25, 25 days. And we're doing chapter 22 of Genesis. We have been having fun with the Lord. I'm drinking from my shop till you drop mug, which I opened two eBay stores. I opened SoKaSoKaren, which is going to, promote my ability to keep bringing these videos. And I open I Can Help Marketplace, which is really to fund my portion of the proceed will fund my charity I Can Help Foundation. I want to fund my charity in throughout the Caribbean, Trinidad and Tobago, the Caribbean, America, and the rest of the world eventually. So it's something God had put in my heart, and it's what I'm working towards. Okay, so visit SoKaSoKaren on eBay and I Can Help Marketplace and buy, shop, donate, etc. And of course, join me here, subscribe, like, share, comment. Okay, we're going to get right into it. Let's open with some prayer. Anybody out there who's having a hard time, let us know about it. We're here for you. Anybody who's having a great time, let us know about it. Let's praise the Lord together. A friend of mine just got back the results from her biopsy. She had cancer, breast cancer, and it's not yet the 3 years. And they say within the 3 years, the likelihood of the cancer returning is higher, and etc. They saw something, they went in. We just got back the results. It's negative. So praise God, praise God, praise God. I just want to pray for anybody out there who's having difficulty, with just feeling pressing and depressed and, unsure. Let me tell you something. Choose good. Okay? Choose good and God will be with you. You have nothing to fear. If you choose good, God will be with you and He will take care of you. You might get some bump in the roads. He promised, He said that. He said you'll get some bump in the roads, but there's nothing to worry about. Choose good. If you know you're choosing good, then you're okay. I just want to, underneath my eyes looking real good. I tell you, I'm doing the homemade collagen and I really seen a difference. Anyway, not a time for me. This is the time for the Lord. All right, cool. Okay. So day number 25. Go back on the beginning and catch up. We're doing chapter 22. Okay, I'm not going to read it because that's taking up about 8 to 10 minutes of reading. And let's just get into it. And it came to pass. We know how what I say. That's verse 1. Okay, chapter 22, verse 1. It came to pass. How many times we see that? We should have been writing down how many times it came to pass. That means time had gone by. Okay. Right? So there were, things, time passed. After these things, what things were those? We're talking about Abraham. Let's put it down. After these things. Let me see who remember these things. I don't know how far back we want to go. Let's just go to chapter 21, not to chapter 20. That's not too much drama. 21. Sarah had a child. Sarah had son. Abraham put out or expel Hagar and his son Ishmael. Okay. Abimelech and his captain came to Abraham because there was a problem with a water well, and made Abraham promise to be kind. Okay, and then Abraham took 7, and I really think 7 has some kind of importance. So mark this first 7. 7, not the first 7. First time we heard of seven is with the seven clean, pairs and everything else. Okay, so we're going to put this down as the second set of seven. Okay, and the first set was Noah clean animals. Okay, so he took 7 female lamb as covenant and proof that he dug the well. Okay, and then what he did again, Abraham called, well, it's both Abraham and Abimelech called the place Beersheba, and then he called upon the name of the Lord. Okay, so these are after these things, after all that happened, that God did tempt Abraham. I don't want God to tempt me now. Tempt Abraham. Okay, so this is proof that God tempts people. People say, oh, God is only good. God tempts people. Proof that God tempts people. He might tell us why he did that. And said, so God said, and we could put God in brackets. God said, let's hear what the tempt is. Unto Abraham, unto him, Abraham. Where are we? We're still in verse 1. Abraham. So he calls him by name. Well, it's he who gave him the name. Remember, we gave him the name. Let's just go back and remember where sometimes it's faster to look just in the Bible here. Where he gave him that name. You see that cross-referencing? That will be that has been coming in handy. Okay, somewhere in chapter 17. Okay, because in we hold my covenant thing, and that's no more 5. Verse 5. So given that name in chapter 17, verse 5, no more will thy name be called Abram. Okay, so God gave him that name. So he said, Abram. And he said, behold, here I am. Oh, they're so lovely. So there's a conversation going on. He said, Abraham. And Abraham said, behold. What does behold mean? Behold, yes. Let me just look it up quickly. What behold mean? If he gave us oh man, I hate how Google now giving you behold, see or observe, watch, view, scan, regard, inspect. I don't know that thing. Okay, I don't know if that is the behold we're looking for. Okay, so behold mean see, meaning see me here. Behold, I'm here. So basically, see me here. I put that thing. Behold, here I am, isn't it? Here I am. Watch me here, look me here, look. If you go to the Caribbean, go say, look me here, look me here. Write and tell me what it is in your culture. The Caribbean have all things. Okay, in verse 2. And he said, now take thy son, thy only son Isaac, whom thou lovest, and get thee into the land of Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering unto one of the mountains which I will tell thee of. Oh my gosh. Okay, I forget about this thing. And he said, he being God, said. So we have a call out, a reply, another answer back. There's a conversation, back and forth. Have you ever chatted with God? Have you ever had that conversation? I like to write them down. It's like so funny. Okay, now take now thy son, thine only son. Oh my gosh, Isaac. And just to emphasize it, what does God mean? Question. First question of the day. Question. What does God, because it's God who's saying it, mean by saying Isaac? And he didn't just say take thy son, thy only son. He gave the name. Isaac is Abraham's only son. He didn't say heir. He didn't say heir, which is, you could have two children, but only one will inherit underneath you. But he said son. Or maybe it could be the interpretation of the human beings, Okay, because we don't know who write this Bible. Maybe this Bible could have been written by a Jewish person who just wants Isaac to be the only son and don't want Ishmael to get any recognition. So when they come down with the translation, they instead of saying take thy only heir, because God did say that Isaac is going to be the heir, from your womb and everything else. Where did he say that? He said that he said right here in verse 12. Chapter 21, verse 12. And God said unto Abraham, let it not be grievous in thy sight because of the lad, and because of thy bondwoman, and all that Sarah had said unto the. For in Isaac shall thy seed be called. So that is chapter 21, verse 12. It says, for in Isaac shall thy seed be called. Okay, we get it. But that's as an heir, not as the only son. Also the son of the bondwoman will I make a nation, because he is thy seed. So he does say it in chapter 21, verse 13. The son of the bondwoman, that he is thy seed. So he's his son. So I think this could be a mistranslation using son instead of heir, right? Because that makes more sense. And this is what this is all about. This is all about questioning everything. We're not taking anything again. We're not taking what our grandparents and what they tell us in church and stuff like that. We are going to ask questions. Okay, take thy only son. So we don't think it's your son. It might be thy only heir. We accept that. Whom thou love. We still in verse 2, chapter 22, verse 2. Whom thou lovest. Okay. But Abraham also loved Ishmael, right? Because we have proof of that. Where was it? Where was it? Well, just the fact that this thing was very grievous in his sight. Chapter 21, verse 11. The thing. And you know what the thing was? The thing was the expulsion. Expelling the thing was very grievous in Abraham's sight. He liked the boy. The boy was 14 years old because of his son. Look, he give the answer right here. So he loved the boy. So they prove this chapter 21, verse 11 is proof that Abraham loved his son, Ishmael. So when he said, whom thou love, Abraham loved everybody. Okay. And get thee into the land of Moriah. Okay, let's stop here. Right now, Abraham in the land of the Philistine. Remember we saw that right there in chapter 21, verse 34. He was in the land, he sojourned in the land of the Philistine many days. Right. So that right now, the land of Moriah, what we learned so far in the naming pattern is that Moriah is a person. So basically it's Moriah's land. Moriah, sorry, Moriah. I can't read, I can't spell, I'll just go with it. Moriah's land. Just like how we had, i.e., like the plains of Mamre and the plains of Jordan, they all belong to somebody, someone. Okay, so go to Moriah. Okay, so yeah, you're moving again. So moving again. I tell you, I wrote a book about from the point of view of Abraham's sandals and all the walking that Abraham had to do. It was like, whoa. Okay. And and offer him. Ooh. And offer. So there's some things. Okay. So there's some action to take. So the first action one. Take. The second action is get. So that's action two. Okay. The third action is offer. Okay. That's action three is offer. So you see what God is saying here? Take, get, offer. Let's see if there's a lesson here for us. Offer him, meaning Isaac, there for a burnt offering. Now, okay, now Abraham has experience doing that burnt offering. Remember when we saw him, he built, I think he must have built about three altars already. We were writing down all the time he built altars. Remember when he went from one place to the next and he built an altar? Okay, it says Egypt. We had written down when he built all his altars. He went to his altar and called upon the name of the Lord in chapter 13:4. Okay, so built altars, chapter 13, verse 4, right? And he called upon the name of the Lord. And then well, we saw he built some altars. He built, okay, you see, the first altar he built was chapter number 1, was chapter 12, verse 7. Then number 2 was chapter 12, verse 8. Okay, he built the first one when he was in the plains of Moray. So he built this in Moray. I wonder if it's the same Moriah, but they just have a different spelling, M-O-R-E-H. And here they have M-O-R-I-A-H. Okay, the second one was between Bethel and Hal. Okay, the third one was again between Bethel and Hag. He went back, remember, he went back. And so he visited that one twice. He already had that one there. And then he built a fourth altar in chapter 13, verse 18 in Mamre. Okay, Mamre, Heron. Okay, so this is the fifth altar now. Will be here. This is chapter 22, verse 2. He's been told about it. He ain't built it yet, but it will be in Moriah. Okay, so 5 altars so far. So he's experienced building altars. And he said, I built an altar on top one of the mountains, which I will tell thee. Okay, so on a mountain picked by God. So God didn't tell him yet. Now, I wonder why. Why mountain? And that's number one. To that question number what? Question number 1. Right, question number 2. Why a mountain? I thought I asked a question somewhere around here about the sun thing. Question, okay, right. Question number 2 is why a mountain, and 3, why God just didn't tell him which mountain. Now I don't want to lie because he's God and because he just choose not to. No. We're not being so dismissive or deference or whatever the word. We analyzed it. So we want to know why God just didn't say where to do it. Okay. So now we reach verse 3. And Abraham, oh my gosh, and Abraham rose up early. People, we should be keeping and Abraham. That man moves as soon as God talked to him. And let's see that pattern. Abraham does everything as soon as God tell him to do it. When they say circumcise, he get up early in the morning. When they say put your wife out, he get up early and he do it. Okay. Hold on. I gotta show you all this. Okay. Um, 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 chapter 21, verse 14. Abraham rose up early in the morning. Same thing. Same thing. Abraham rose up early in the morning. Izzy, do a search for me and tell me how many times Abraham woke up early in the morning. Okay, that's what to expel Haggard and thing. But he's done that before. That he did that with his circumcision. I want you all to see it because that has to be our attitude. That has to be our attitude. We gotta do it right away. I don't. Okay. In verse 23, chapter 17, verse 23. After the Lord, beginning at 22, and the Lord left off talking with him, and God went up from Abraham. And Abraham took Ishmael, his son, and all that were born in his house, and all that were brought with his money, every male, and circumcised them. Okay? So I want you all to see how immediate Abraham moves. From the time God left him, he circumcised the house. He circumcised every one. Well, every male over 8 days old. Okay? But every time God talked to Abraham, okay, chapter 12, and God said, get ye out of your country and blah, blah, blah. So Abraham, chapter 4. So chapter 12, verse 4. God spoke to him, so Abraham departed. Okay? Everything that God tells Abraham to do, Abraham does it right away. He gets up early and he does it. Okay? We have to somehow develop that. He rose up early in the morning and saddled his ass. Remember when he was putting out, Haggard? How come he didn't, remember I asked that? Give Haggard, he must have camel ass, all kind of thing. And Ishmael, an ass or camel to ride on. Okay, so that's question number 4. I remember I asked that when he put this thing. I asked it back in the day, how come he didn't? And she went and she saddled again. First scene, she was pregnant and put on her shoulder. Okay, I got that right. I asked her a question. She went and she cast the chat. Oh, right. Look, that was one of my questions. Why didn't Abraham give them 2 camels or 2 asses? I mean, it would have been no big thing for him to do that. Look, here he going on a trip with he and Isaac going on a trip, and he uses ass. Okay? I just want to show all you the unfairness of the treatment. Okay, and he took 2 of his young men with him. How come he didn't give the girl people. Okay. And Isaac his son and clave the wood for the burnt offering and rose up and went unto the place of which God had told him. Okay. So when he went to the asked two men, Isaac his son, wood for the burnt offering. He he wasn't sure if he'll find wood. So he took his wood. Okay? And what they tell us here, and he rose up. Okay, so that's another thing. Action 4. So we still in oh Lord, we still in verse 3. Oh Lord. Chapter 22, and rose up. Another action. So that's action 4. Okay, so it was take, get, offer, and rise up. Okay. He rose up and went. That's another action. Because you can rise up and you don't want to walk, eh? But he goes. So he goes, he went to place. So it will be, and look at what he said, which God had told him. Obedient, pure obedience. God had told him. Place which God had told him, okay? Then on the third day, Abram lifted up his eyes. So he walked for 3 days. So that's verse 4. So he traveled for 3 days. There's something about 7 and something about 3 in the Bible, okay? So, note 3. Okay, and then Abraham lifted up his arms. Another action, lifted. So we into action 6. He lifted up his eyes. So he's obedient and he's doing things. Okay. He lifted up his eyes and saw the place afar off. So he lifted up his eyes. So what that means? Lifted up his eyes, sort of like he look out. Remember when he lifted up his eyes when the man was coming? When he saw the man, oh, I just had it. That would have been, you know, when he started chapter 18, he lifted up verse 2. Chapter 18, verse 2. It said he lifted up his eyes, and behold, this is with the 3 men. Okay, so it's the same thing. When you lift up your eye, you look out. He looked out and he saw it. Okay, he lifted up his eyes and saw. So there's another action. So the place, so that will be the place which God told him. Okay, which God had told him, verse 3. Okay, he saw the place afar off. Afar. So he still had some ways to go. To travel. He already traveling for 3 days. Okay? So it's going to be a 3-day plus, right? And into verse 5. Verse 5, and Abraham said unto his young men, remember you had 2 young men, abide ye here with the ass, and I and the lad will go yonder and worship and come again to you. Okay. So he said to the 2 young men, stay with the ass. So it's one ass. So maybe one ass, four males. So maybe they all walked. Oh, and they had wood. Um, they had burnt. They had wood carrying. So maybe the wood was on the ass. Okay. Abide here with the ass. Okay. And then he said, I and the lad. Okay. Now, the last time the Lord called Ishmael a lad, he was 14 plus years. Remember that? When God called the lad, he heard the voice of the lad. Verse 21:17. Chapter 21:17, God called him a lad. 18, chapter 21, verse 18, he called him a lad. Verse 20, a lad. God was with the lad. Right. So 3 times. 18 was lift up. 18 was lift up the lad. God was with the lad in 20. And God said, I have heard the voice of the lad. Okay. But he was already 14 plus. So that means could Isaac be around that age because he is being called a lad? Okay, because it did tell us, remember it began by saying in verse 1, and it came to pass, meaning time had gone by. Okay, so that question number 5. Okay, how old was Isaac basically? I and the lad will go wander and worship. Go wander. Yonder, not wander. Go yonder. Mean go further. Okay, because it did say place far off. Place afar off. Remember I said that in verse 4? Okay. So verse 5 now, we're still in there. And worship. Now you see how, let's pause for a minute. You see how Abraham looking at this? Abraham is looking at this as worship. Okay. God said to him, offer him there. Offer him there for a burnt offering. Okay? And in Abraham's mind, that is worship. He's not like, oh my God, you're going to kill my child. That is worship to God. No, I don't write the Bible. So I don't know. And if you haven't, like, what? All these sort of things, then I fully agree with you. It's not easy. And come again to you. Okay? And come again. Now he didn't say anything about and we will come. Did not say and we will come again to you. Okay, he just said and come again to you. Okay. So we in verse 6 now. And Abraham took the wood, so he take the wood of the burnt offering and lay it upon Isaac his son. So the son had to be a good little age, carrying wood. Abraham took wood and lay on Isaac, his son. And he took the fire in his hand. Okay, so Isaac had to be a good age to carry the wood. But also remember, Abraham was 100 years at Isaac's birth. So Abraham had to be had to be a bit older. Well, like 110, 114. He's an old man now because they were calling him old at 100. Had to be a bit older. Older now. So basically he can't carry the wood. Okay, but he took, what else he take? He took, okay, we still in verse 6, chapter 22, verse 6. He also took fire in his hand. So, it had to be some kind of way back in those days. So basically they came with the wood. Okay. They came with the wood. Maybe they made the fire there. I can't see them traveling for 3 days with fire, but I don't know, made fire there. Or traveled 3 days with fire. Okay. And then he took a knife. Okay. A knife. Oh boy. Okay. And I can't say, I don't know what to say for the knife. If you have something to think, and they, meaning Abraham and Isaac, went, both of them together. So they left the 2 men and the ass, and we know it's a mountain, went up the mountain because God told him it was going to be a mountain with wood, fire, and a knife. Okay. And they went to worship. Okay. That's what we've been told so far. And verse 7, Isaac spoke to Abraham, his father, and said, "My father." And he said, "Here am I, my son." And he said, "Behold, the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for a burnt offering?" You see, so Isaac noticed, but let's take our time. Said, "My father." When you're talking to your father, do you say "my father"? My father. Or you just say "dad"? Okay, my father. Anyway, it's very polite. Polite and respectful. That's all I could get out of that. And Abraham said, very similar to what he said with God, "Here am I." What did he say with God when God called out to him? Oh, why am I looking back? It's right in the same thing here. He said, "Behold, here I am." Here, okay, it's just a flip around. "My son." Okay. And then Abraham asked about, "Behold, the thing, where is the burnt offering?" Isaac. Where is the lamb? Because that's what he's accustomed, seeing the father burn for a burnt offering. That's a good question. Okay, and then what did thing? And Abraham said, we into verse 8, Abraham. So they're having a conversation, said, "My son, God will provide himself a lamb for a burnt offering." Oh my gosh, profound. Profound. God will provide himself a lamb for a burnt offering. So they went both of them together. And they came to the place which God had told them of. And Abram built an altar there. So that will be really the 22:9 is really the fifth altar. This is, okay, chapter 22, verse 9. It's really the fifth one. It was mentioned in verse 2, but it really in chapter 22:9. And Abraham said, and they came to a place that we were told that God would tell him, and he built an altar there and laid the wood in order. So in verse 9, he built altar, lay wood in order. God likes things being done orderly. I could tell you that. Just from Revelation, if you study Revelation, God is very much a God of order. God is a God of order. God likes things neat. God likes things lined up. God likes things square. God likes things straight. Just how you could see how he built the ark. He's very, very orderly. Okay, and he laid the wood and he bound Isaac, his son. Ooh, 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 bound Isaac, his son. My gosh. And laid him on the altar. You could imagine what was going through that boy's head. Upon the wood. Let's think of that. Imagine your father. He began in verse 7. My father. Very nice and polite. And the father, yes, here I am, my son. And then, however long, how many hours later, when they get to the place, he take this son and he bind the son. He must say, what you doing? And then he has to be strong enough. He has to be strong enough, or the boy, the lad, small enough for him to lift up and lay on the wood. Would you have done that? Question. This question is for you and me. Question 6. Would you have allowed your father to bind you and lay on wood on an altar? Now think about it. This is back in the time when they have altars. So we have to imagine back in time of one altar, 2 burnt offering, 3 a sacrifice. Well, 3 will be wood, the wood. 4 will be the sacrifice. 5 will be the fire. Would you have allowed your father to do that? Or would you have put up a fight? Would you have fought? Answer that question. And lay them on the altar. So we'll take chapter 10. And Abraham stretched forth his hand. Ooh. Ooh. You could imagine this boy. Let's look at it from the sun. Okay. And Abraham stretched forth his hand and took the knife to slay his son. Ooh, okay. Could you stretch forth your hand to kill your child? To kill, sacrifice your child? If that's what God asks you to do? Tonight, question 7. Excuse me. Question 7. Could you do that? Let's just pause here. Because we like to run through this as if it's nothing. But you could imagine Isaac. He old enough to carry wood. He old enough to talk to the father. My father, where's the lamb? He has some little sense in him. We have the fire and we have the wood, but where's the lamb? And then your father tell you God will provide for him a lamb. And you end up being the lamb. Oh, what was Isaac thinking at that moment? Oh my gosh. And we reach into verse 11. Verse 11. The angel of the Lord called unto him out of heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. You have to call him twice. He didn't say stop, he said Abraham, Abraham. And didn't say stop. But I guess if the angel of the Lord, if the angel of the Lord is calling to you, he don't need to say stop. From the time he say Karen, SoKaSoKaren, I'm like, yeah, yeah, okay, right. He don't need to say stop. But wow, that was pretty close. And he said, he being Abraham, said, he said the same thing. Here am I. The same thing he said in verse 1. Here am I. And he said, meaning the angel, so we see that they're angels. The angel said, lay not thy hand upon the lad. You call him a lad again. Neither do thou anything unto him. Thank you. For now I know that thou fearest God, seeing thou hast not withheld thy son, thy only son, from me. Whoa, profound. What if this was the prototype for God sacrificing his son? What if Abraham had disobeyed? Would God not send Jesus? Okay, was this the prototype? So I have two questions. So I question 8, was this the prototype for God sacrificing his son? And question 9, what if Abraham had disobeyed? Would God not send Jesus? Because trying to kill a little thing. Maybe, and question 10, was this a test or temptation? Because it did say it's a temptation for Abraham or for God. You know, it began in the first in the first chapter saying, it came to pass after these things that God did tempt Abraham. God, but really maybe God is tempting himself based on Abraham's behavior. On Abraham's behavior, God would behave likewise, right? I mean, he goes through all this thing about lay not thy hand upon the lad, neither do thou anything unto him. For now I know that thou fearest God. Okay, so it proof that Abraham fears God more than he loves Isaac. Okay, seeing thou hast not withheld thy son, thy only, they bring that only son again from me. So basically, Abraham puts God higher than he puts Isaac. Because remember where God said, whom thou lovest, um, whom thou lovest, yeah. A lot of stuff in here. A lot of stuff in here. Okay. And Abraham lifted up his eyes. So you look out again. So plenty stuff, plenty question. Abraham lifted up eyes. He looked out, right? And looked. He lifted up eyes and looked. And behold, behind him, a ram caught in the thicket by his horn. And Abram went and took the ram and offered him up for a burnt offering in the stead of his son. So he was right. God did provide for himself. Remember he said that to the boy? God will provide himself a lamb. Well, what was this? This was a ram here. Okay, a lamb. That was in verse 8. Here was a ram provided. Verse 13, okay? And then it said, and Abram called the name of that place Jehovah Jireh. Okay, so we get verse 14. Abraham called place Jehovah Jireh. Okay. As it is said to this day, in the mount of the Lord it shall be seen. Okay. Jehovah Jireh is supposed to be my provider. But let's not go with what people tell us. That's what I grew up knowing. Jehovah Jireh, my provider, thy grace is sufficient for thee, my grace is sufficient for thee. I have to learn how to sing. Okay, called in play, as it is said to this day, in the mount of the Lord it shall be seen. You know, he called a place Beersheba. We don't hear it in song. We don't hear nobody say that that means God provider, whatever. As it is said to this day. This is the meaning of Jehovah Jireh according to them. In the mount, meaning the mountain of the Lord, it shall be seen. I don't know what that means. In light of this thing. Okay, so we reach in verse 17, chapter 22. Okay. Sorry, read verse 15. And the angel. So, and the angel of the Lord. So it's not the Lord who's speaking to him, eh? Let's make a note of that. It's not the Lord speaking to him. Not the Lord speaking. An angel of the Lord speaking. And this is first time was in verse, and the second time was in verse 15. Okay. Angel of the Lord called unto Abraham. So we know who he's talking to. Out of heaven, again out of heaven. And we know heaven is above us because of the firmament. The second time. We know first time, verse 11. Okay. And said, what did he say? By myself have I sworn, said the Lord. For because thou hast done this thing, and hast not withheld thy son, thy only son, then in blessing will I bless thee, and in multiplying I will multiply thy seed as the stars of the heaven, and as the sun which is upon the seashore, and thy seed shall possess the gate of his enemy. And in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because thou hast obeyed my voice. Oh my God, how wonderful. Oh my God, look at that blessing. And what he said here, by myself have I sworn. God has to swear on himself. Remember? Have I sworn? God has to swear upon himself. Remember, Abimelech made Abraham swear on God. Where was that? That was verse now verse swear unto me by God. That was in chapter 21, verse 23. Okay? But God now, by myself. There's nobody higher than God. By myself. No one higher. Okay? Have I sworn? So God has made an oath. This could never change, said the Lord. By myself have I sworn. What is it? For because. So this is the reason. For because, reason. Thou has done this thing. Thou has done this thing. What is the thing? Not withhold his son. Basically doing everything, getting up early in the morning, getting the two asses, the one ass, the two men, the wood, the fire, the boy, and heading up the hill. 3 days. He traveling for 3 to 4 days. Okay, so let done this thing. Okay, so the done this thing is get up early. One ass, two men, wood, fire, sun. Okay, travel for 3 days to place. Walk the rest. Then he lay the wood, lay wood in order. No, he built altar. Sorry, built altar first. Then he lay wood in order. Then he bound sun. Then he lay on wood. Then he reached for knife. Okay? That is, has done this thing. Those are the things. Those are the list of the things that he has done. Okay? Because you have done these things, all in one considered a thing, and has not withheld thy son, thine only son. We get back to this. This is the third time God has used that. So it's not a translation error. Third time. The first time was in verse. I sound like a broken record, but I will be a broken record. The first time was when he said it. Isaac thy son. Wait. Thy only son, verse 2. And then he said it in when the angel called, verse 12. And then he said it now again, verse 16. So it's not, that answers a question that we had asked. Was it a translation? What is translation when he called him the only son? I think what is no. So we have an answer to answer one, question one. No, not a mistranslation, because God said only son 3 times in verse 2, verse 12, and verse 16. So it's not supposed to be air either. So it's not a mistranslation and not air. He meant to use the word son. The Lord give it, the Lord take it away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. I want a blessing like this, so I can't say nothing. Okay, thy only son, that in blessing, verse 17. Verse 17, in blessing, I will bless thee. Wow. bless thee. And in multiplying, God, this one I don't want. I don't want this one at all. In multiplying, I will multiply. It's all right. Thank you. Give that to somebody. Thy seed as the stars. Let me tell you something. Them thing too draining of the heaven. Okay? And as the sun. Now, I don't know about the stars of the heaven, but I know growing up in a Caribbean country, you can't count sand, which is upon the sea. What does God mean by that? Because you could still count the number of people on the earth, but you can't count the number of the grain of sand on the seashore. And he's still going, thy seed shall possess the gate of his enemy. Wow, that one I could do. I could do it. I could do with possessing some gates of my enemy, or one gate is doing one gate. Oh boy, and he's still going. And verse 18, in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed. Because, and here the reason, because thou hast obeyed. You could almost hear my voice. You could almost hear the joy. You could almost hear the joy in God's voice. Or, I know the angel is saying this. It's an angel saying this. But it's like God can't bless him enough. He can't shower him as if God or the Lord can't do enough to bless him because he obeyed the voice of the Lord. Okay, so we read verse 19. We almost finished. But hang in there. I watched today a woman make a pendant from clay. An hour and 45 minutes. I watched the whole thing. I wanted to see what she making. So you could hang in there to learn about God and see how to get yourself blessed. Not just from a pendant. It came out nice eventually. It started off looking kind of weird, but came out nice. Verse 19. So Abraham returned unto his young men, and they rose up and went together to Beersheba, and Abraham dwelled in Beersheba. Remember that the place where they, but it didn't even talk. It didn't even talk about a young boy, Isaac. Okay, so Abraham returned to, I just going straight to Beersheba. Beersheba, which is in the land of the Philistine. Okay. Can't spell Philistine to save my life. Philistines. Okay. Returned and dwelled. That's all we need from that. That thing. It didn't say anything about the little boy. The word. Oh no, he used the thing. Okay. And it came to pass after these things. Oh boy, here we go again. Verse 20. And it came to pass after these things. I'm not going to repeat these things like I did before. Okay, what it is? Okay, let me give you in a nutshell. God told Abraham to go to a mountain in Moriah and sacrifice Isaac, which he attempted to do, but God stopped him at the last second. Right? So it came to pass after those things that it was told Abraham, saying, Behold, Micah, she has also bore children unto thy brother Nahor. Hud his firstborn, and Buz his brother, and Kemuel the son of Aram. Oh boy, and Shesed and Hazor and Fildas and Jidlap, whatever, and Beluel begat Rebecca. These 8 Micah did bore to Hanor, Abraham's brother, and his concubine, whose name was Ruhma, she bore. Okay, so all of a sudden, verse 20 shift, and it was told to Abraham. Okay, and it was, this is important, believe it or not, told to Abraham. You will see how God will tie this back to Abraham. What was told to Abraham? That his brother Noah had a wife. Okay, no, yeah, his brother Noah. Okay, Noah should have been in the middle. Noah, his brother. It That's not the one that died. Abraham. Remember Abraham? Let's go back. Quickly. We had the chart to help us. It's Haran that died, right? That's Lot's father. Okay. Right. No married. Okay. All right. Right. It's a good thing we went back. Terah is the father, and Terah had. So Terah the father, and Terah had Abram, Nahor, and Haran. And Haran had Micah, Lot, and Ishka. This is important. And the brother Noah married Melka, but he also had a concubine. Hold on. He had a concubine, Ruma. Okay, right. So that was his concubine. And Mika was his wife, right? Well, so we were told that in verse chapter 11, verse 29. Okay, so I join up a chat. Oops, oops, oops. Wow. Okay, hold on. Okay, so we had Terah, the father, and he had Abram, who became Abraham, and he had Nahorah, his brother, and Haran. And then Haran had these three and became the wife of this one. Okay, this is going to become important. Trust me. I've been doing this with you all now long enough to know that somehow God is going to tie this in sometime. So let's get it right one time. Okay, so Micah, she bore children unto him, and she bore her firstborn, and then she bore Buzz, bore male, and then she bore Kimuel, who became the father of Aram. Somehow I thought I would Aram. And then they had Jeff, and then they had Hazo, and they have Phil Das, and then they had Lap, Lap, and then they had Betuel, and Betuel begat Rebecca. Ah, that's the tie in here. That's Rebecca. These eight, because they get Hado, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 12. And his concubine, whose name was Ruma, she bore Tab, she bore Tiba and Jaham and Tahash and whatever. Okay, so she bought him 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So let me show you. This is gonna come. Subscribe, check it out, and I'll show you how this will become important. And then you're gonna have to subscribe and like. Okay. So basically, well, it was good until right. So this is the brother. All of a sudden, from 20 to 24, it suddenly become a genealogy that Abraham was told, basically all this to tell you that his brothers had a daughter. No, his brother's son, or I don't know if it's a son or a daughter, but Joel has it. So Nahor's granddaughter is Rebecca. So tune in to find out the importance of Rebecca in this biblical story. Okay? So let's pause in prayer. So this is verse 20 to 24. Verse 24. Heavenly Father God, we thank you and we praise you. Nothing is wasted on you. Oh God, that we will be obedient to you one day. That you will get so excited. You will say, and your seed, and your seed, and your this, and multiply, and oh, you will storm the gates of your enemy, and you'll be recompensed. And anything that anybody take away from you, they're going to give you back tenfold, 100-fold, a millionfold, whatever. All the people who fire you, all the people who said you're dance, you can't read, you can't spell, they didn't lie. Yeah? Father God, we bring all this before you, oh God, that we may be obedient to you in such a way one day that you could get so excited about it all. And we give you thanks and we give you praise for what you teach us tonight and what you'll teach us tomorrow. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Bye-bye. Okay, so good night. 1:30, 1:30 minutes. Good time well spent. Bye, darlings.